I finished my altered composition books that I did for my great nieces and nephews for Christmas. And before I wrap them, I just wanted to do a walkthrough for you, explain to you what I did and the lessons that I learned while doing them. So I'm pretty happy with how these turned out, but I did learn lessons from each and every one. I'm going to do this video in 2 parts because I can't seem to keep it to under 10 minutes. So I started with these plain composition books that everyone starts with. Some people find that at the dollar store, I had no luck with that, so I bought mine at Staples. I think they were $3.50 each, so they were not expensive. What you look for is a cardboard cover and fairly decent quality lined paper. And that's all you really need. I just always check them to make sure that the binding was okay. But the ones from Staples were good. The other thing that I used was the Scotch Quick Dry Adhesive. Best glue I've found. If you haven't met my friend Mr. Scotch, I would highly recommend trying him. It's not cheap, but it works well. So you'll see here that I've closed these books, like secured these books with these. They're just headbands from the dollar store. They come in a pack of 4 for $1.25, and you'll see I was able to find beautiful colors to match all of them, and I'm really happy with this orange one goes with that one. Really happy with them. But you can also do closures and other things if you choose. So what I did, all the books are the same, front and back and inside. The pages, I did some what I call interest pages inside, which are all different because of what I learned along the way. But basically, you can see here, this black is just the original spine. I didn't cover that or do anything with it. I think it's fine the way it is. I like the way the books look. You'll see I decorated some of them. So you measure from here to the edge, top to bottom, around the corners. Same on the back. And then on the inside, obviously you can see this is bigger than this. So don't just measure the front and cut 4 because you'll be sorry. You'll have to use your paper will be too small for the inside. The one thing you'll see that I learned is that you don't want to go right up to the spine, because what happens is when you open, close, this curls up and creates all kinds of problems. You'll see, I'll show you what happened, but you want to leave a little gap. It's not to be very big, but just to where you're going to be folding this all the time. So I covered the front, I covered the back, and then on the inside cover, I covered this sheet, and then I added a pocket, and I did the same thing on the back. Covered this and added a pocket, and then because there's 100 pages in this book, every 25 pages I did an interest page, and you'll see they're different in all of them. So this is the one and only one for a boy. Pretty happy with how it turned out. Paper choices are good. So cut the paper, for the front and back, glued it on. I just did a strip of extra paper there to make it look more interesting. The name plates are pretty much all the same. It's a piece of cardstock, in this case black, a piece of pattern cardstock. I rounded all the corners, glued them together, and then I stamped Zach's name on this one. And after I was done this, I did Mod Podge with gloss, the front and back. So you can see the back. Same thing, glued the paper on, glued a strip of other paper for interest, and then Mod Podge with gloss back. On the inside cover, what I did was I glued another piece of paper, different pattern, and then most of the pockets I think are half the sheet. I wasn't fussy on the size, I didn't care. I don't think it really matters. But see, here's what I was talking about going too close in. So I went too close in, and then it all curled up, so I had to cut it, and it looks kind of ugly, but got to deal with it. The other lesson I learned is on the pockets. So when you glue them, obviously you glue here and along the bottom and along the top, and you don't glue here because it's a pocket. But what I failed to do is press out the air or bubbles or whatever you want to call that. So when you put a pocket on, what I recommend, press along here after it's glued down, press along here, and like really press it down. And then you want to make sure you get all the air and bubbles and all that out before you press down this side. And if you don't, you'll end up with this one, which is bubbly and creasy and all that kind of stuff. Cannot fix it. Well, I'd have to remove it and everything to fix it, and I tried to do that. It was kind of a disaster, so I'm just leaving it alone. But just so you know, I did learn my lesson, and the back is much better. Still wish this wasn't quite so close there, but the pocket is certainly way nicer. And this is just graph paper cut in half, corners rounded, with stamps on it. So these interest sheets that I talk about, every 25 pages, because there's 100, so every 25, I did something interesting, and I did them different because of the lessons I learned. So what I wanted here was a tuck. So what I did was I cut a piece of cardstock, which was left over from the front, but I didn't cut it in half, which was my first, or fold it in half, which was my first mistake. I just folded it so there was a little bit on the other side. So I glued this down, glued here, glued along there and there, created this pocket. The second mistake was that I didn't put any other paper on here, and this, frankly, this paper is too thin for that. So what I had to do after I glued this on, I had to add a piece of cardstock. And because the cardstock weight paper, it did not want to stick close to the spine, so I had to put masking tape there, which is okay, but it's a little bit ugly. The middle one, I did not do a tuck. This time I folded cardstock in half, which was great. Glued it down on both sides, so it's more of a divider than anything, but that's all this is. There's no tuck or anything. The paper cut. The last one is just like the first one, so I folded it not in half, just a little bit on the other side to glue down. Realized it wasn't sturdy enough, put the cardstock on, still with the masking tape. But it is a nice little pocket. These are just sheets from the file folder that I stamped and I can write on. So that is X. The next one I'll show you is Emily's. And you'll see I did the same basic thing on the front. I did a nameplate, hers I did in the middle. And these are just stickers instead of stamps, but the same idea. Cardstock, rounded corners, cardstock, rounded corners, stamps, glued, Mod Podge over the top. These are just glittery stickers from the dollar store. And then pockets on the inside and on the back. The only difference I did here is I did add some ribbon along the edges, which I thought looked pretty. I feel like on the video it kind of looks like I just traced around it with a marker, but I didn't. Same thing on the back. The pockets are starting to look way better, if I must say so myself. And there's the back. The interest pages. So what I decided to do here, again, learn some lessons. I found that gluing copy weight paper rather than cardstock paper is better on these thin sheets. So I did glue the paper down. And I did still tape the edge because I hadn't quite figured out how to keep that secured yet. I'll show you in the next one that I did figure that out. For the pockets, I decided to use a bigger piece of cardstock, fold it in half, glue this side completely down for sturdiness, and then keep the tuck here. But I really am happy with how this turned out. I think it's really good. So anyway, it's hard for me to put this in with one hand, but you get the idea. That goes in there. The middle one, I did not create a tuck. I just glued the paper on, again, with the masking tape, paper clip some cards on. I had a piece of paper left when I cut this, and I just folded it in half and glued it on, and it does create more sturdiness, so I'm really happy with the fact that I did that. It isn't a tuck or anything, but I like the way that looks. This one's exactly like the front, so glued a piece of paper down, put the tape on, made a tuck, again, a bigger piece of cardstock, folded in half, completely glued at the back, and then glued as a tuck there. So that's the second one. I'm going to go through the other 3 in the next video.